So in my last video I got all this, or I should say I got the whole roll cage fixed up. It was kind of rusty and crappy. And in the video before that on the tractor I got the floor done. And both the roll cage and the floor is looking real nice now. And now I'm gonna get started on the fenders, which is, the old one was just completely rotted away. There was just garbage. So in this video I'm gonna get I'm gonna get the fenders built. And I'm gonna start here by making this piece that is gonna go right there, that the door seals against. And I've already spent some time in getting a plate put here, so I can weld this tube to that and still take it off. And then I also got this marked out here, if you can see the marks maybe. I marked it out, and what I'm gonna do to bend it is I'm just gonna cut out a V shape right there. Then I'm just gonna bend it over and then weld it back together, and then the tube gets a bend in it. That is at least the easiest way to do it, I think. So let's bend this here, and we'll see if it fits, or if I'm even close. I think they're gonna have to cut out a lot more here, but so let's at least see how close I am here. Well, I mean, not crazy bad. I'm just eyeballing against the door here. That one has to go up. So that one is good, I think. That one needs a little more, and up here it also needs a little more, I think. So this thing, well, it kind of fits, but it doesn't really fit. The angles are right, but I don't know, but I measured this wrong. So this distance between these bends here, I kind of, it's too short either way. I measured it wrong. But I made a new one. And this one, well, the angles, it's pretty close, I think. And it's at least the right length. So I'm just gonna have to check this out a little bit so the angles are good here, and let's go ahead and tack this together here. So I got this thing clamped out here, and I have to check the angles, so that should be alright, and it should be nice and flat. So let's go and tack this together, and then we'll check it in place so it's actually right. So this thing turned out really nice, I think. And I think that also the angles are all right. But, it's always a but. It can never be perfect. It's bent. I don't know if this table is perfectly flat, but it's at least flat enough. And you can see it's has a good bit of gap here, which is not surprising, because when the weld cools, it all pulls, and then, you know, this weld pulls a little here, then it, you know, this whole piece is gonna go up. So, I'm gonna have to try to fix that somehow. So I got a couple little pieces here, and then I'm gonna, well, that's the problem, that just bends right. Huh. So I just got this clamp down here a bit, and now the best way would be to have a torch or something else, like an oxyacetylene torch, to really heat this up. And then you heat it up. Here it gets red hot, and then you kind of push this down here or clamp it down, and then when it cools, it stays like you want it. But I don't have that, so I'm gonna try using this and we'll see if it works. So that thing does not put out enough heat to get it red hot, but it's a little bit heat in it at least. Now this thing fits under there. I just push that down there, clamp it down, and yes, now this piece is, it doesn't have any slop under there now at least. But look at that, that's touching there, 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 and over there. So I think that is perfect. So I got all these angles pretty well perfect as matching the door here. Tweaked that for a long time to get it good, but I finally got it. I had to heat these up and kind of bend it. Yeah, I had to bend it because it wasn't really the right angle, but it was close after I welded it, but not perfect. So, but it's all good now. And also set it out the right distance here, as I want it. And I'm just gonna tighten that up. And I'm just gonna mark here and down there. And then I'm just gonna go and cut it off. It's kind of hard to mark here. And here is just to run it along there. So let's see if it fits here. And if I should be honest, I have to kind of fiddle around cutting out a little bit right there just to make it fit. And I think it fits now pretty good. And also trim this off about 1 millimeter up here. And now it does fit pretty well, perfectly, like that. So I'm gonna go and get the welder and just tack that in here. So I've gotten this thing so it fits really nice now. This little piece that I welded on the bottom here, that is, there you can see. If not, it would be a big gap in here because it's flush out here, and there would be a gap between, you know, the square tubing and that piece there. But that's all good now, and then it's fitting real nice up here. And I think the door is just kind of going in here, kind of, but this thing is nice and straight, so I'm just gonna have to make the door nice and straight too. And now this thing is still loose down here, but I'm gonna have to bolt it in there somehow. And, I'm not sure how to do that yet. So it's a couple hours later here, and I'll spend some time doing some CAD here and trying to figure out how I want this. And I think I got it looking pretty nice now. And if you remember, the old fenders was kind of round with more of a couple pieces bolted on the sides here to make close the cab in. And that is because you can buy like a you could buy a standard cab or a special. And the special was kind of more fancy, better built, and this is more like the special cabs were built. So really, I'm just gonna take this off and just put this on the sheet metal and cut it out pretty much. And here I'm just gonna make a little, cover this in kind of. But if I would have went below this, it would just have had to go on a couple of angles here. It would just been super weird, so I just made it straight here, and I just have to cover this in here later. And we still have to secure that though with a bolt down there. So let's start with getting a bolt in there to hold that in place. I'm just gonna have to get rid of this. So I'm just gonna put a bolt in here from the back side to hold this in place. And that little piece I welded on the back, that will be perfect because it's thicker, so I got more material to tap some threads in. But the problem is, I don't have much room to drill from the back side because of all this crap here. And it's kind of hard to drill, you know, I could take this off and drill it from, you know, this way and this piece here, and from the other way in this piece, but kind of tricky to get those to line up perfectly. So what I think I'm gonna do is just to take and drill straight through here, and then I'll just weld up the hole on this side. Not perfect solution, but I think it will work. That's at least what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna put an 8mm bolt in there. So I'm just gonna drill it out to 8mm. The other hole was 6.8mm, which is the right size to tap the M8 threads for an M8 bolt. Come on. It's just hard to drill out the last tiny little bit of a hole. Or if you have a drill bit that is just like a millimeter larger when the hole is, just a pain to drill because you want to take off too much and then it just spins in the chuck and stuff. There we go. Just gonna get it started straight here, which is always a trick to do. Now it's going good. I have to countersink that, or take off that burr that is there, and then just to bolt it on. Just to find the hole. Come on. No, there it is. There we go. That ain't going nowhere. Yeah, that is pretty good, I think. Yeah. Did pull it away from there though. Did get a gap there though. That wasn't there before. Or before I pulled it tight, I should say. Whatever. So I've been working here the whole morning. Well, an hour or so. Maybe, I don't know, 2. And just fiddling around trying to get this good. And it is finally good, and also, yeah, you can't see the hole there anymore. Just welded that up and grinded it down. You can kind of feel it though. But you can't see it, so that's all good. And that fits a lot better now, because before it was a gap there, and it just ended, when you tighten the bolt up, it just kind of ended twisting this whole piece, which wasn't any good. So I finally figured out and fixed it, so that's all good there. And yeah, and also cleaned it up a bit so it looks a bit nicer. So this is all good now, and now it's time to cut some sheet metal here. And this is on 1.5 millimeter sheet metal. The old stuff was probably about 1 millimeter. And you maybe wonder why they go with thicker. That's kind of because I ended up measuring kind of weird when I measured the old stuff to like 1.3, which is probably 1. Plus a little paint, ended up weighing 1.3 millimeters or so. And then I just ended up getting 1.5. But I'm definitely not unhappy with buying a little thicker. I'm happy with that. It's just a little bigger, which is a little better. But either way, now it's just to trace around this. Or actually, I'm probably gonna trace it. The edges are pretty nice and straight here. Not like a lot of times when you cut cardboard, they can end up getting a little fussy like this. And then when you trace the line, it kind of goes like this, which is not great, but this is pretty nice and straight here, so I might trace it, or I'll just make a mark here and here, and then I'll just use a ruler or something to draw the line so it's actually straight. And I have to measure this out again because this is a little off. It's like moved 3 millimeters too far that way. Yeah, good. I gotta have to do that before I trace this though. This is what I mean here, it's a little off there, but that's why it's good to make a cardboard template, because, you know, that's easy to cut and doesn't matter if you do it wrong, because here I can just measure. That's a 6 millimeter there, and that's 0 right there. So I don't know how much I want, but I just, you know, mark it instead on the sheet metal. I'll mark it a little further there and whatever, I'll just fix it. It's probably smart to clamp it down so it doesn't move on you. So I got this marked out here. And why I spend so much time making these cardboard templates, that is because it was just so easy to just put it around sheet metal and just trace it around, because it took probably half the day of making that and getting it all good. But it's just to trace it around now, and it should all be good, I think. And also it should fit for both sides, I think. I think it should work for both sides, so. Oh, either way, let's get this cut out now. So this turned out really nice here, I think. And also just took off the burr off the edge here. Except this. This is not nice. Well, that was just me being an idiot and dropping this. And then I just bend it over there, which isn't nice. So, but let's try to bend that back somehow. I don't know what the best way of doing this is, but I'm gonna try hitting it and using a piece of wood so I don't mark it. Actually, that wasn't too bad. I think it's okay. I mean, it's not perfect, but not too bad. The outside isn't as good, but or the other side, but that is the outside, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So let's see if it fits there. I think that looks pretty good. This gap I think is perfect. This is too small, but that's just to cut that back a little, so that's no problem. And down here and everything, it looks pretty good. And then you maybe wonder why I didn't, cut this longer and bend it here and let it go up like this in one piece. That would be the best way of doing it, but I don't think I can bend 1.5mm sheet metal in an easy way at least, and then I maybe still have to do like I did here, cut it like halfway and bend it, and then I don't know. Yeah, now I just ended up doing like this, and yeah, whatever. It will work. Yeah. And I'm seeing now, I think, because it's round there, this bend, I'm gonna have to cut this down a little more because when I push it in, it's hitting up here. So, I have to cut this down about 1 centimeter more or so. But except, and that's kind of hard to see because the cardboard, you can just bend that very easy, so. But that's no problem, let's just cut that down a lot further. And except that, I think it fits really good. So I got this cut out here, and that is looking, yeah, it's looking good. So now I'm just gonna mark out and drill a lot of holes along this line. I'm not sure, maybe 10 centimeters or so between every hole. I'm not sure, like there and there maybe. So I got these marked out and center punched here, and I'm just gonna drill through it with a 5mm drill bit. I'm gonna take this sheet metal off, drill that to 6mm, and then tap it in some threads in this square tubing, and then I have all the holes lining up and everything. There we go. Got all the holes drilled. And I know this is kind of short distance here, but I didn't care about that. Just marked it 10 centimeters. I could have measured it out and figured it out to get it equal, but whatever. I didn't bother to do that. And nobody's ever gonna see it behind the wheel here or tire or whatever. And now it's just to tap all these holes. So this is looking pretty nice here, I think. It's a little, maybe a little gap there and a little too much there. You probably should have lift it up a little here or a little down there, but it's nothing to do about that now. Well, I mean, I can, but it's just easier to fix that later when I'm, yeah, whatever. Got the bolts, some bolts in here. I didn't bother to put too many in here. It's not necessary now. And now I'm gonna make something. Yeah, just have to make something temporary here. So this one doesn't flex so much. So it's perfectly straight and also plumb, I think it's called. Like level, but straight up and down. And yeah, because when I make these pieces here, I don't want them to just every time pushed in a little bit. So this one just ends up getting a huge bow or something in it. I'm just gonna make something there. So I got this just set up here. So now, well, I mean, it can still flex a bit out here, but now you need to really push it. So if you want it to flex, but you know, it's not gonna move much, I don't think. So I think that's all good. And I thought to get started with this, but before I do that, it's gonna be a piece that is gonna go here, and that is this piece right here. Where it's gonna go, and also this. Yeah, it's kind of to support this whole fender here. So let's see if we can remove this from the old one. I'm just gonna cut it off here, I think, because this is just garbage. And really I just want that piece and maybe that piece. We're just held in by mostly rust and these two pins there. But it is pretty rusty. As you can see there, it's maybe, no, it's too dark. So I've been thinking of this on this, and this is just really corroded here. A lot of material gone there. And is it a problem? Probably not. And I could definitely use it, but you know, putting a bunch of rusty steel together with it, all this new stuff, and I'll still make a ton of new stuff. So I'm just gonna make that new, but I'm gonna wait a little bit with that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and, because why I was starting with this now is because I want to get this clamped in here, because it's kind of bowing out there, I think. Yeah, there. I want it pulled in there. But I'm just going to drill the holes and then just bolt it in. Yeah, we'll do that instead. And then I'll just have to make something like that new later. think the bottom hole lines up okay, but the top hole will not work. Yeah, the bottom hole is good, I think, and that top hole is not great. It's like way too far. You can see the edge there. Yeah, you're gonna have to move that. So I think that is pretty good, secured. This is just temporary to hold it in place. I didn't bother to cut the bolt off, so because it would get too short later, whatever. That's gonna work, and this is also hold in place, and it's also plumb. I think that's all good. So yeah, now it's just to start to get all these pieces in here, and yeah, the whole way around here. But I'm gonna start at the bottom there. So I really like these cardboard templates here because you can see it fits really good. I just need to add a little there, and also this is kind of short, it turns out to be. So, but I'm just gonna, the angle is right, I just need, no, it's not either. Either way, I'm just gonna add on a little bit. But this one was perfect. And yeah, let's go and cut these two out. So I marked out two pieces here. I still can mark out these, but I'm just gonna go and cut these out and then just mark out more. And I'm just gonna go and cut them all out now because it's really this piece and that piece I need, but I kind of try to figure out to make to not waste anything of the reason that I really need every little piece, because I hope I have enough, and I think it will be if I use every little piece I can. I'm kind of trying to put these together so I don't, I don't get big pieces of waste. Yeah, either way, let's just get this cut out. So I got all the pieces cut out there and cleaned them up a little here, on the edges. And I'm just starting to fiddle around, kind of trying to fit them, because they are never 100% perfect, though they seem to be really close. Like this one needs to probably be trimmed off a couple millimeters on this edge, plus it's kind of crooked, but still need to trim it, so it doesn't matter. But the biggest problem is, because you can see these pieces, the fender sheet metal there and this square tubing there, they're not parallel, because the square tubing that leans out, and then it kind of just ends up being like this gap right there, because this thing goes straight and this one should lean backwards a little bit and stuff. So you kind of need to, in this application maybe it would have been nicer with thinner sheet metal, because it would be easier to form it kind of, but I'm pretty happy using this thick stuff. I'm just gonna have to try to form this in or something like this. We kind of bend it in somehow to close this gap up. Doesn't need to be perfect, but a little better than that I think I want. Just kind of, because I'm still gonna put a rubber mat or whatever, something to cover all this this whole floor in, so, or cover it up, so then stuff like this doesn't matter if it doesn't match the actual sheet metal floor. I'm gonna have to figure on this a little bit. And so I got this piece kind of clamped in with a couple of clamps, so it's actually formed out pretty nice. And I haven't even tacked it on, it's just kind of sitting there. And when I take this off, it's not gonna have It's gonna just spring back to straight probably, because it's kind of springy, you know, steel is kind of springy, so you're just gonna spring back to straight. So what I think I'm gonna do is heat this up, and I think that will work. Just heat this up, and then it will deform, if you will, from straight to, yeah, the shape it has now. And for that I stole the burner from my forge there, and yeah, I thought it was a little more effective on that, so I'm just gonna try heating it up till it forms to that shape. And I don't know if that is hot enough, or if you have to get it like red hot for it to take the shape I have it. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it sure doesn't have the shape it had. It should have bent. Just to hope it's enough. I think it will. But if I just hold it, something in there, it's still kind of a big gap. Though I'm still gonna bolt it to the square tubing, so I think it might be good enough. So I think that is pretty good right there. I'm just gonna, it's not great right there, it's not great, but I think when I weld this, I'm just gonna bend it back, weld it, and then I'm just gonna heat this up again, and then I hope it deforms the last little bit, and I think that should be good. All these pieces will not be perfectly flat, they will be slightly twisted, because yeah, it gets, you know, longer distance here and here, and the actual pieces are not tapered. I maybe shouldn't have made it that way though, but that would have been harder. So then this will be on this angle, and this up here will be on a less angle from this piece. It will be more like that, and this will be more that way. At least that's what it ended up being now, because I measured the same distance here as here. But I kind of like it that way though. Yeah, I kind of like that. So yeah, either way, I think I'm gonna go ahead and drill some holes here now. 3 holes, there, there, and there. And I'm gonna trim this piece a little, because when you're welding, you want a little gap in here, because you get a lot better penetration. If you have them like perfectly close together, you won't get any penetration, or not much at least. But if you have like, I don't know, maybe a little gap either way, you will get a lot better penetration. So I'm gonna have to cut this, grind this down just a tiny bit, but let's drill some holes now. I got this thing bolted on here, and it's all looking pretty nice. Just need a little more of an, and just need to be a little lined up there, and I have to grind more off of this thing. I did grind a bit. And I think at the bottom, it is good gap, but at the top, it's not any gap, so we're gonna have to grind a little more there. And here it just need to be pushed out a little bit. And then it is just to tack this on and get started on the next one. So I thought to weld this in and then bend it, but I'm not sure if that will, when this thing cools, if it's chinks it in some kind of weird way, so it kind of warps and everything. So I'm just gonna try to heat this up and bend this back first before I weld it. Yeah, well, I don't know what happened, but I just kind of started heating this up here and just looked at it and it wasn't the right place. It just kind of bent itself. No, freaking. So now I think it's just to go ahead and weld this up. Maybe that gap is a little big there, but yeah, whatever. I'm gonna weld it up, so it doesn't matter, right? So I got this welded on here, pretty nice. And the only thing is, this curve here. I don't know if I really like that. Or if I should, or if I don't know if I should leave it or just try to go ahead and cut this off here. Try to bend this, you know, make it straight. I'm not sure about that. So this is what it will look like. It will kind of be rounded down there at the bottom. I just kind of put this template back in here to see what it looks like. And I mean, I don't know if I like it, but I don't dislike it either. So I don't know. I don't know if I should leave it or if I should try to, you know, make it straight. Yeah, I've decided I'm just gonna leave it like this and just continue kind of crooked, rounded-ish. I don't think the other ones that you can buy or could buy that had these kind of fenders, I think they made it so they didn't twist up kind of like this. It had a longer measurement up here, so this was the same angle from this. Had this angle the whole way down. But I'm gonna make it like this. It'll be good. So. So I think this turns out pretty nice. And just pushing that in there. Though this is kind of long, so I think I almost have to trim this down a little bit here. Like 2 millimeters, which doesn't seem much, but it is, you know, you can see there, it doesn't really line up there. So I'm gonna have to trim off just a little, but push that in there. I think when I push it in there, it looks all good, except, yeah, I kind of like the look more of this straight instead of this rounded here. It just kind of doesn't fit when everything else is square on the fender. So I think I want to try to make that straight. I'm not sure how, But I just thought cut this here and then just do as I said before, I think. Kind of just heat this up, probably red hot. And then just kind of clamp, bend something. But then I maybe should get rid of this, I'm not sure. Yeah, actually I probably should cut these off, all the welds on that. Trim this a couple millimeters. And then also try bending that. I think that would be the best solution and also would really, I mean, functionally it's fine, but it just looks nicer, I think. I think that will work. I just need to heat it up before and kind of get the clamps on there or something. So I'm just gonna have to let that cool down, but I think that is looking pretty good. It should be straight now. This piece should be straight. And this was kind of cupped like that down, but I just heated it up red hot and banged it a little bit with a hammer, and it's plenty good enough to just, I think, just push it a little bit when you weld and tweak it the last little bit, and then just tack it up and everything, and it should be good, I think. So this is looking pretty okay, I think. It just is a little too wide here, so it's going a little too, this here you can see that's less than down here. Maybe you can see that, but I think I'm gonna try to trim a little off there, and except that, I'm just gonna get it tacked in because it fits real nice. So I'm really happy with that. That turned out really nice, I gotta say. And I'm really happy I took the time to try to, that I took the time to make this straight. It is kind of going out. Either way, I think that's way better. Looking like it's coming around, swooping up and going in straight, and not being, like being round this way. But not this way. If you understand. I think, yeah, I'm really happy with that. So I'm gonna have to get rid of that. And then it's just to start on this piece. I'm gonna move this in and then we'll get started on this piece. So I thought this piece was good, but I'm gonna have to trim about 3 millimeters off of this thing. this turned out really nice too. The only problem is that it's a freaking big gap there. That's not good, and it's good there, so I don't know what happened, but it's missed that some whatever, doesn't matter that much. I did go here and get it a little cupped like that, so I think I'm gonna have to cut those welds out, kind of bend that back a little, but no problem. Just gonna have to fill that gap somehow. That's a later problem. That's the problem when I'm welding this. This gap is really nice along here. It's perfect, and I really think this turns out really nice. Time for this piece now, which I think is perfect, except it's like a centimeter too long, so let's go cut that off. So this one was a little long too, so I'm gonna have to trim that back a little bit. So I got all this welded on, and now I'm gonna wait with that piece, and I'm gonna get started on the actual, this thing, which is the fender here. It sits right here, and this is the wrong, it's mirrored because it's meant to be on the other side, but I'm gonna get started on this piece here. And I'm gonna make that out of 3mm sheet metal. 2 reasons. First of all, this stuff is probably strong, but it's kind of flimsy still, and I want it a little thicker, so I'll make it out of that. And also because if I make the fenders out of this stuff too, probably doesn't have enough, so, and I have this all left over. Or maybe I need some, but most left over, so I'm gonna make it out of this. A little stronger, a little better, and let's just get this cut out. So I got the pieces cut out, and I tried to clean this mill scale off, but I don't have any good way of doing it, so I'm just gonna leave it for now at least. I would like it to get it off, because I don't know if you can paint over it, or if that will be, maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe the paint just falls off, I don't know, but I'm gonna leave it for now, and I'll take care of that later. I got these pieces too. This is just gonna go here, and then the other one is just gonna go up there. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and get these welded together. And then this piece is gonna be bolted with bolts underneath here, and the other one will have some bolts here. And then I think this whole fender going out here should be really nice and secured to this. So I'm not gonna start by welding this together. I'm gonna start with drilling some holes here. So I got this piece in place here. I had to trim a little off of this edge to get it to fit good, but I think it's good now. So I'm gonna start here by drilling with a 6mm drill bit to get it in the center in the hole, and then also continue with the file and tap and so on. It'd be good to tighten the clamps down a bit more. So I finally got these holes drilled, tapped, and I got this bolted on pretty nice here. And then I got this piece. It's gonna go right there on the side. And then the fender piece is gonna just come straight out here. But the problem is these pipes here. It's going kind of, you know, out here. And then I'm gonna have to bend this piece here so it comes straight and then it goes kind of out. I think it's just a slight angle out on both ends, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure a bit on that. And then it's also that piece is gonna come down and overlap this piece so it gets sealed up. And also don't want that thing to be spaced too far out. Yeah. And that up because it's kind of builds quite a lot with 3mm out here, but I think I can kind of bend that around, and I think it should work good. But they're gonna have to bend it on this piece on the ends here somehow, so it's kind of, yeah, so it sits flush against this and goes out. Especially here it's quite a lot. It's going out. I marked it here. I'm just gonna cut it out that line and then kind of just cut it like halfway and bend it a little bit. And same thing there, just cut it and bend it. So I give this thing a couple more cuts there, and kind of just put it here and just hammered it a little bit, trying to figure it out. I'm gonna do this, and it turned out pretty good, I think. Just bent out right there and going out a little bit. I think that's pretty good. And I think I'm probably gonna end up cutting this corner off a bit, but I'm gonna leave it like this now. And then this end, it was pretty good after I bent it there. So that looks also pretty good. So now I'm just gonna have to measure out here a little bit, because I'm gonna bolt it here too. With 6 bolts or something like this to hold this in place, because I really want this thing to be solid. Not like this thing, which was held on by nothing pretty much. Like those bolts there and those right there, and then clamped in here a little bit with this thing, but nothing else really. But I want this thing to be solid, so this is kind of what it would look like. I get this frame put in here, and then just move the clamps here, and it's just a piece of cardboard that I cut out. I think it will be pretty good. This is slightly wider than the old one. I think that'll be pretty nice. So I'm just gonna have to, these holes has to be really exact because they have to be centered between here. And I will have 2 centimeters between there, and it has to just be centered to get it in there. But I just want some bolts there to really hold this thing in place, because if it gets something, you know, if you step on this, or because I want to be able to step on it, you're going to put a lot of kind of, you know, it will bend this whole piece and put a lot of force on these bolts, and having some bolts here will make it a lot more solid, or more stronger. So this is actually starting to look pretty good. I just ground this a little bit. It's bloody hard to get this mill scale off in a good way. But I got it just cleaned up enough so I think I can get a good weld between that piece and this piece. And then I'm gonna have to weld it right here too. But actually I maybe should do that now. But I have to cut these out a little bit because it's gonna go up on these angled. Yeah, just gonna have to notch that out a little bit, but I think then it is just to get it tacked on. So I'm just gonna start welding this up here, and then I'll tack this piece up. So this video is getting very long here, so I'm gonna cut it right here, and we're gonna pick up in the next video right where we left off and get this whole fender done. So for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.